Hello everyone, let's play some Chess960. This time unrated because I couldn't get a rated game for some reason. So let's see what happens. No idea at all about the level at which my opponent plays, but and I also have don't know what I should do. I mean, which side I should castle. Probably play this and open the diagonal for the dark squared bishop. Continue with f5, I guess, so that the both bishops can be developed quite easily. Maybe I should go for the castle's long plan, but yeah, knight to d6, knight to b6, and then queen out of the way, and then castle. At least so far, Anonymous seems to play quite well. I don't see any real problem with this. I remember a similar game from some time ago where this sort of pawn structure occurred, but not for the life of me can't remember what happened in that game and if it was in fact the same starting position, but I doubt it. Okay, knight to e5. Moving the queen out of the way so that I can castle seems to be a bit complicated. I have to play this. Not that I actually want to, but I think it's necessary anyway. E3. Well, I guess I'm gonna continue with my plan. Why not? I think my opponent has the same idea. Castle along, that is. Okay. Now, how to best proceed, I wonder. Bishop f7 to e8 to b5. Try to activate it, and if my opponent takes the bishop, that's okay too. Because it's the bad bishop at the moment, since most of my pawns are on light squares. Yeah. I think Anonymous is a decent player based on the moves my opponent has made, so I mean, It's still quite evenish. But I guess we will soon see if my opponent misses the bishop b5 idea. Which would of course make things much simpler for me. Okay, move the rook out of the way so that b5 is not as strong as it once was. But I think I'm still gonna go there. Still a good square for the bishop. Now though, what to do? One of the knights should go the c4 perhaps. And for some reason I prefer this knight to go there. Well, this is a bit tricky. Not really sure how I should do. This is too closed up of a position and I don't really like it. Should I take on e5? Well, not sure what it accomplishes, to be honest. Knight a4, but then knight takes a4 and b3. I mean, knight here, knight takes, bishop takes b3, and well, I guess knight a3 check, but certainly this is a complicated position. Not really sure what I should do. Actually, I'm gonna take on e5, followed it up by, I mean, my opponent has to take with this pawn, otherwise lose the knight, and I'm gonna do this in order to get some room for my other knight to back up if my opponent plays b3, and also threaten to take on c5. Checking here isn't really accomplishing anything because king b2 and that sort of stuff. However, knight check, king there, takes here. No, that's not a good idea. I have to play knight cb6. Actually, this is okay. I'm threatening to take here, and depending on which way my opponent takes back, I will play either here or just take here. I mean, if queen takes back, then queen takes, pawn takes, knight here, and one of the pawns will hang. Okay then. Well, I have to play, I think, bishop to c6 for now. No point playing into a6 because the knight takes a6 is possible, and I would be in some trouble there. And I couldn't take here first, I don't think. So, okay, that move was probably a good move. Well, at least moving the knight was a good move, because otherwise there might have been some problems. Is a5 a threat? Perhaps it is. Maybe knight takes and then knight b8. This doesn't seem all that good for me, to be honest. Hard to come up with a plan. Maybe actually g5 followed by f4. Try to open some lines there. Yeah, I'm not quite convinced on what I should do. Maybe knight b8. Protecting the bishop. Went into play b6. Wow. Well, I'm gonna do this and play bishop b7. Play my queen to d7 and go from there. Or actually put my knight to c6 perhaps. The bishop wants to go to here perhaps, and then prevent anything from coming to c6. Wow. My king is quite badly placed here. Well, maybe I go for the g5 f4 plan now. I do realize that a5 might be somewhat problematic, and I'm not sure why I didn't play queen d7. Last move. Not only threatened this, but if queen bishop b. Okay then. Well, I'm gonna do this now. Go for c6. I know it looks crazy, but kinda wanna do that. So okay, the idea is if c6 and takes, he will take with the pawn, and then the a pawn is hanging. Well, I'm gonna play c6 anyway, but I'm gonna follow it up by playing queen to c7. And then with the idea of playing c5 maybe. Well, a5 for my opponent is certainly something to consider. think now c5. If, well, okay, takes there, and now should I go for, yeah, I have probably take with the pawn. The problem is, I guess, to some degree, rook a7. Not immediately, of course, because the queen has to move. Okay. Not sure what to do. I guess I want to get my king as far away as possible. That's an interesting idea. Try to open some lines. I'm not interested in doing so, not just yet anyway. I'm gonna flee with the king. Perhaps g7 or something. And actually I'm now wishing that I had not played g5 actually, so that my king would have some room to flee. I mean safe haven to go, but now knight here, and the idea is to play rook a8. Sure. Well, that was to be expected. I think I'm gonna do this and then follow it up with queen c8. Uh-oh. Well, I have to do this, I guess. In order to hang on. I should have probably taken on a7 actually first, and then played that. But I guess if rook takes here, I will take with the bishop. Have to take with the pawn actually. Taking with the rook is not something I want to think about, because bishop g4 might be annoying. I was briefly thinking about e6, but actually it's not good. King takes. And even though my king seems a bit open there, should be safe for the time being. Actually, I didn't realize my opponent could take this pawn for free. I'm gonna take with the bishop, obviously. Taking with the rook is not an option. And queen takes here now. Queen a7. Okay, you can do that, but I don't really care, not just yet. Maybe actually knight to f8. No checks, and I win on time. Wow. That was a crazy game. I think I should be doing quite well here. I'm up the exchange. For a pawn, but the trouble on the A file might be the deciding factor, and the fact that the my opponent's queen cannot cause any harm just yet. Well, actually, the here bishop check on h5 would be quite bad. King here, check here. I'm not sure what would happen here. Might be losing actually, or very close. But okay, let's see how this has been played before. Okay, the move d4, third most common move. Most common is g3, not surprising maybe. Just to get the bishop into play. And f4 actually makes sense too. Same idea, opening the diagonal for the other bishop. Okay, d4, sure, why not? Seems okay to me. Now obviously I want to play d5, which is actually not the most common reply. Average rating for the players who have played this is 1922, and black has been quite successful. Nice. Black has been quite good after g6 which is quite interesting, and actually according to this, black is doing quite well in almost every possible move. Knight 8b3, third most common and only played twice. And well, okay, this game that I just played does not include in this two games, I guess. Well, I think all of these options are quite decent. The first three most common. But it's surprising maybe that black does so well here. Okay, g6 has been played before. Quite high level games, I think. I may not be anything close to the Grandmaster level, but still they know something about chess if they are rated even that high. So knight to d3, f5, and now we go out of previous played stuff when our opponent went for f4, g3, the only move that has been played before. In the game you see here last year. So okay. g3, knight a b6, f3. Well, I'm not sure what the idea behind that is. Seems quite bad to me. To move queen d2, then, well, it seems a bit better. At least I understand the purpose of the move. Well, f3 might go for e4, and that might actually be more flexible than f4, so there is some merit behind f3 too. Let's see if I'm correct in my assumption. No, didn't. Well, then again, e4 is not that easily played when it's covered by three things, the two pawns and the knight. So before white can play e4, would need more protection for it, so maybe knight f2, that sort of thing, to prepare e4, or castles, perhaps one of the rooks here and then play e4. Yeah, okay. Wow, that's that's silly. But yeah, okay. Queen b4 obviously much better. And played between some higher rate people. But yeah, okay, that's enough for now. Thank you all for watching, and bye bye.